If you ever try to stay consistent in any self-improvement habit like meditation or reading books or not playing video games or eating only healthy food, if you tried any of those and you weren't able to stay consistent, it's because these three things that I'm about to explain to you. And if you are not able to consistently stay on these habits, by the end of the video, you will be able to use these three things to consistently stay on these good habits. And these three things that I'm going to explain to you in this video will allow you to stay consistent, and you will actually crave doing the good things. You will crave doing the good habits. So let's get to it. So the first thing that I'm going to explain to you is going to be the dopamine meter. So what this dopamine meter is basically, and this is an abstract, this is like an example. This is not like actually scientific method. But what is the dopamine meter? In your brain, okay, there is a meter for dopamine, okay? Dopamine. And when you're born, throughout your life, you require a certain amount of dopamine to be satisfied every single day. So every single day when you wake up, this meter is empty. And you want to do things, to interact with things in the world, to give you this dopamine. Okay, so for example, talking to people can give you maybe 5% of dopamine. Maybe reading a book can give you 2% of dopamine. Okay, playing video games can give you maybe 50% of dopamine. Now, the thing is that you need to understand is that when you're born and throughout your life, while you're interacting with normal behaviors like reading books or interacting with people or eating healthy food, when you're doing these, you're giving your brain small amounts of dopamine. So your brain will get used to and will be satisfied by just getting small amounts of dopamine. So for example, if you only do reading books, interacting with people, eating healthy food, maybe you just need to fill 20% of your dopamine meter every single day, and your brain will be satisfied. Okay? And I'm gonna tie it back into why this is important and why understanding this model and these two will allow you to consistently stay on the good habits forever and will actually make you crave doing them. I crave reading books. I crave eating healthy food. Literally, I'm not joking. And these three models will explain to you how. So getting back to this model, this model explains that your brain is now satisfied with getting only 20% of dopamine every single day. Like your brain tells you, just give me 20% of dopamine and I will be satisfied. I don't need more. I'm not gonna crave anymore. Okay? Now the problem is that when we become maybe 10 years old, 15 years old, whatever the age that we start using, like playing video games, using our smartphones, etc. Our parents buy us a PlayStation or an Xbox or a smartphone. When this happens, and this is the tragic thing that parents don't understand this. The thing is, when they buy this, they buy it because because they love you, like they want to give you a gift in Christmas or whatever the case. When they give you, let's say they gave you a PlayStation. Okay, hold on a sec. So PlayStation. Because this is what happened to me when I was, I don't know, maybe 10 years old. My parents bought me a PlayStation 2 actually. Most of you, maybe if you were born in 2005 and more, maybe you won't remember the PlayStation 2. But anyways, so they bought me the PlayStation 2. And playing video games is gonna give you maybe 50% of dopamine by playing for an hour or two. So it's giving you way more than what you originally needed, what your brain originally needed. So now when you keep doing this over and over again, when you keep playing video games, for example, every single day for let's say a week or a month, now your brain, the threshold of your brain requires 50% to be satisfied. So now in the past, it needed only 20% of dopamine. Now it wants 50% to be satisfied. The problem with this model, not this model, but the problem here is that the actions that used to give you enough dopamine, now they don't. So they feel boring. If you ask yourself, what does boring mean? It means it doesn't bring us fun. Well, what does fun mean? Fun equals dopamine. So reading books, if reading books is boring for you, is because the amount of dopamine reading books bring you is not enough to satisfy your brain, because your brain wants more dopamine. That's how it works. And when I discovered this, I was like, holy moly. So I'm gonna explain to you how you can reset this meter. But the problem here is not just video games. The problem here is that you stop playing video games, and then your parents buy you a smartphone, and you start also using that. You download Instagram, you download TikTok, you start watching YouTube videos, and you start even watching people play the video game that you are playing. So I used to do this. I used to play Call of Duty, Black Ops 1, 2, and 3. And after I play the game, I watch YouTubers who play the game to learn more about how to play the game, how to become better at it. So using social media and playing video games is gonna increase that meter to, let's say, 80% now. And now this is dangerous, because reading books or interacting with people is extremely boring. You won't even think about doing it. You will be removing yourself from even thinking about doing these actions. That's the problem here. And where it becomes even more problematic is that you start eating junk food. Your parents start giving you money, start going out with your friends, you have a new group of friends from school, from high school. So you start going out and you start eating fast food, you start drinking alcohol. This will increase the meter to 100%. Now, the problem here, that's why a lot of people, the problem here, and I'm gonna explain to you something right now. The problem here is now, maybe the things that used to give you 50% of dopamine, which is playing video games, is not stimulating enough. So you need even more. So you need alcohol consistently. You need to keep eating alcohol. You need to drinking alcohol. You need to consistently go to social media. And because your brain is craving more and more and more, which is now 100%, it needs more dopamine. So you resort to drugs, to weed, to women, for example, to sleeping with women. The list goes on. And this is the problem. This is the biggest problem here, is that this cycle, if you don't stop it, it will keep growing and growing and growing. Now, thankfully, most of us, we eventually become somewhat aware of this and we stop it to a limit. But most of the time it's too late, because you need to understand, when you are between the age of 17 to 30, this is your prime. Like this is the period of time that you're the most capable of achieving anything. And I'm not saying that people who are older than 30 years old, they're not capable. They are capable of doing anything, but you have the most amount of power, the most amount of motivation, the most amount of energy in your 20s. So the problem here is that most guys and women, they go through this cycle of getting more and more dopamine, which puts them away from focusing on achieving goals or doing something meaningful in their life. And if you think about it, doing something meaningful in their life and doing something beneficial to humanity, something beneficial to them, like starting a good business, solving a problem, reading books, etc., these things are boring. Why are they boring? Because they don't bring a lot of dopamine, so people won't do them. Like, go out to the streets, ask people, do you read books? Like, no one actually read books nowadays unless they have to because of some uni exam or some specific exam. But by themselves, it's extremely rare. And this is a disaster actually in our day and age. So now that you understand the dopamine meter, you need to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm addicted to? What are the things that are bringing me a lot of dopamine that is screwing my meter? Because if you want to actually become addicted to the good habits, to the self-improvement good habits, those good habits brings you a little bit of dopamine. And for you to become addicted to those, your brain needs to forget the things that brought you the 50% of dopamine, the 80% of the dopamine, the 100% of the dopamine. Your brain needs to forget about those. And I'm going to explain to you how you can do that. But now that you have the understanding, let's go even deeper. Because the reason you're doing those dopamine, the reason you're actually addicted to those dopamine, not just because they bring you dopamine, but because they solve a mental problem. And I'm not calling you crazy. What I'm saying is that every single one of us, everyone, they have trauma. Let me write it down here. And I'm going to explain to you right now how this connects with social media, with video games, with junk food, etc. One of the greatest psychologists in our day and age is called Gabor Mate. And he said that every single addicted person to anything is a traumatized person. But not every traumatized person is an addict. Let me repeat that for you. Every single person who's addicted to anything is a traumatized person. They have trauma. But not every single person who has trauma is addicted. The reason you have addiction to anything because you have a mental pain, you have a trauma. And the addiction is giving you a temporary solution to that mental pain. That's why you keep doing it. But the problem with the addiction, and the reason it's called addiction, because you keep doing it again and again and again. That's what an addiction is. And the problem with addictions is that they bring short-term pleasure, but long-term pain and suffering. That's the problem with addictions. So any addiction you have, either social media, video games, smoking, alcohol, whatever it is, I guarantee you can trace it back to a trauma that you had in your childhood. Because in your childhood, you had an experience in front of you. Maybe your parents, maybe your friends, maybe you got rejected by women, whatever the case is. Your brain had or has now a wound from an experience in the past. And this wound needs healing. And your brain started looking for healing mechanisms, stimulus that can heal this wound. It found one of those dopamine stimuli, and it found that it is healing it temporarily. So that's why it became addicted to it. People say that shame on you for being addicted. No. Addiction is a good thing because it's bringing you the solution for the mental pain. The problem is that the action itself is harming you. So you need to find another action that satisfies this trauma. That's the point of it. So let me explain to you this model. And I made it like another video a few days ago specifically about trauma. It's 15 minutes long. So if you're interested, go ahead and watch it. So what happened is that you have a trauma. Trauma that doesn't have to be something big. It can be war, it can be pandemic, or it can be something small like your parents not giving you the attention that you needed when you were a child. Okay? And by the way, if that happened, that's the reason people show off. They show off, they want people's attention because their parents didn't give them the attention that they needed. That's why they show off, by the way. So you have this mental pain. So that's you. You have a mental pain, a trauma, a wound. And this wound needs solution. So your brain found one of those like the things that makes you addicted, okay? And it kept doing it over and over and over again to get the satisfaction. But the problem is that it gives you temporary satisfaction. It doesn't fully heal it. So what you need to do is that you need to focus on replacing the bad habit with a good habit that solves the wound. So how can you do that? Well, what you need to do first is that we need to go back to the dopamine meter. We need to list down every single thing that you are addicted to. So it can be social media. It can be video games. It can be, I don't know, junk food. It can be alcohol. It can be bad websites. It can be, I don't know, toxic people. Toxic people. This is also an addiction, by the way. List down every single addiction that you have. Okay? Now, what we need to do is that we need to select one addiction. because you can't like solve all of them. You can't replace all of them at once. You can't cold turkey it. You have to start one by one. So you select the first addiction that you have, social media. And then ask yourself, this is a dopamine. This is something that is giving us dopamine and screwing our dopamine meter. Yes. So now you ask yourself, what are the good things that social media or the addiction that you selected, what are the good things that this addiction is giving me? What are the good things that this addiction is giving me? What are the things that this addiction is giving me that solves this wound temporarily? What are they? You list them down here. Okay? Now, once you list those down, you ask yourself, what's something that I can do that can give me those things? And you need to experiment with this. You won't be able to just find it immediately. You need to experiment and ask yourself and keep trying to find the things that can give you the same benefits that this addiction is giving you. Once you find that thing, when you do it, you will get those benefits. And when you do them, your brain is not going to ask you to do the addictive action because it got satisfied. That's how it works. So now you're done with social media. So now the dopamine meter has lowered a little bit. So let's say that it was 100%. There we go. Let's say it was 100%. Now it became 80%. There it is, 80%. And now we go to the next addiction. So video games. Let's say it's a video games. You ask yourself, what are the good things that video games are giving me? What are the good feelings that video games is giving me? You list them down, and then you keep finding an action that gives you the same benefits. You keep doing those actions that give you the benefits, and now your brain doesn't crave video games anymore because it's getting the satisfaction that it needs. So you're done with video games, and now your dopamine meter is, let's say, at 60%. But remember, the self-improvement habits, they bring you maybe 5% dopamine, 10% dopamine. So your meter is screwed. We still need more work. So we select the next addiction, junk food. What are the good feelings that junk food brings me? You can say that it gives me calories at all. No. We need to go deeper. We need to find the trauma. We need to find the childhood event that made us start wanting to keep eating childhood. And it is difficult to find it, and you need to use some sort of Socratic reasoning to keep asking yourself why, multiple times, 5 times or more, to find the root cause. And this takes time, but you need to keep thinking about it because this is your life. Your life and your future depends on you doing these actions. So then you ask yourself, okay, junk food, what are the good feelings that junk food brings me? You list them down and you find the action that brings you the same benefit, but at the same time, that action is not harmful. You're done with junk food. And now your meter is, let's say, at 40%. Now we're doing progress. Now the actions that used to be boring, they're now fun. But if it's not enough, we go to another one. I actually forgot what A stands for. I don't know. Let's say this is another addiction. This is another addiction. You do the same actions. You list the good benefits. From that addiction, you find the thing that replaces that action but gives you the same benefits. Done. 20%. And now reading books become fun. Like I don't kid you. I can't wait to actually start reading a book every single day. I can't wait to open the book. I'm currently rereading The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. I can't wait to actually finish work and start reading the book. And I really, genuinely, really enjoy it. Why? Because my dopamine meter maybe is at like 10%, 15%. Because I've done this. So, the detox. This is the detox. So we explained the dopamine meter, we explained the trauma, and this process that I explained to you is the detox. There's a lot of YouTubers talking about detox. I need to go to the jungle, I need to take a 3-day break from social media. This doesn't work. This model, I used it personally, and I helped a lot of my friends to use this model, and it works. Again, listen out every single addiction that you have, and then pick one. Write down all the benefits, all the good feelings that this addiction is giving you, and then keep searching for another stimulus that brings you the same benefit, but at the same time, it doesn't harm you. It doesn't waste your time. It doesn't fire up your dopamine receptors. It doesn't fire up your attention span, etc. You find those good benefits, you do them, you replace, your meter will reset a little bit, will go down a little bit, and you keep doing this process, and your dopamine meter is like, let's say 20% or 10%. Now, you can't measure it, like this, but you will know, when you start craving reading books, or when you start craving interacting with people and actually having a healthy relationship with friends and like girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, you know that you reached the nirvana of the dopamine meter. So I know there's a lot of hours and there's a lot of things here, but this model, like I wish someone told me about all this model 5 years ago. I would have progressed so much in my life. Now, this is one of the models that we have in our community that people are benefiting from them extremely well. So if you want to learn more about more models like this that can massively benefit your life, then in the description, there's a link for a community that you can join that has many of those models that can massively give you a paradigm shift, a perspective shift, and allow you to keep progressing in your life and become a person of power, have a better life, a more fulfilling life, a person of wisdom, of course. So this is it. We're done with this. And I'm happy that I've explained this model because a lot of people need it. I genuinely believe that a lot of people need it. And I hope that you got a lot of value from it. And I hope that if you know someone who can get value from this, I hope you can share it. Not because I want more views, but because I genuinely care about helping people, because I was like you. I had the addictions. And I told you, I wish someone told me about this model 5 years ago, because I was like you. I know what you're going through right now. And I hope you can share it with someone that can benefit, if you know someone. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next one.